The mind to me is an activity. I don't personally think of the mind as existing within the brain. I think the mind is far pervasive than we can imagine, and I think of it as an activity. Take for example, we all use phones these days, smartphones, computers and whatnot. There's something you're seeing on the phone or on the computer screen, but there's an activity happening that processes the information and shows it to you as a picture, with text and so on and so forth. Your computer is running different processes, sending information, signals and all of that. And that ongoing process, all those functions and processes that are happening is some form of an activity. And the mind for me is a tool which is able to take energy, process it in a way, and that process of energy happening is the activity. There's something always happening in your mind. You're having thoughts, you're having emotions, you're daydreaming, you're having one thought and then it jumps up and another thought comes in. You're understanding things, you're learning how to move things. At the same time, you're taking action and doing all of that. I'm not always conscious of doing all of these things. I'm not actively training my mind to bring in new thoughts and to process things, but it is happening. So that activity, that is always ongoing, to the point where even when you're asleep, you are having dreams, you're having ideas. It's the mind that allows us to have this experience. So I think of it like I am consciousness, right? I am awareness at the base of it. And in my experience as a human being, I have this processor called mind, and this type of mind, human mind, allows me to see things visually as different forms, as solid, liquid, gas. It allows me to have emotion, feel emotion in my internal body. It allows me to have visions, have dreams. All of these activities are going on, are part of what make up the human mind, at least for me, physical human mind. And it's what allows my physical human experience to take place. I talked about how your actions stem from the emotions and the thoughts you're having, which fundamentally come from your belief systems. When I discovered this, my first question was, okay, where are my beliefs being held, or what's really starts my beliefs? How did I begin to have these beliefs? Because over the course of my life, certain beliefs I've had have changed. Sometimes from realization that they were there, and then actively engineering them and changing them. And sometimes certain things in my life experience help me reinvestigate those beliefs and in effect somehow transform them. Where are these beliefs formed? Abraham Hicks talks about beliefs just being thoughts that you've kept thinking and thinking and thinking, so now in your reality you've made those thoughts facts, that this is the basis of the reality. So to some people, they have different religious beliefs which to them are facts. Certain people have different cultural beliefs which to them are facts. The belief is, I like to think about it like your operating system. All computers have an operating system. Machines like HP and stuff run a Windows operating system, and MacBooks run Macintosh operating system. Both look different. They have similarities, of course, folders, you can open browsers and whatnot, but the operating system looks different and feels different. It's running an entirely different system. So just like the computer machines, we as humans also have different operating systems, and these operating systems determine the world we experience or how we see the world, just as the different operating system on the computer determines the type of interface you have and the things that you can do and the things that you can't do. There are certain things you can do on a machine that uses Windows operating system that you possibly maybe cannot do on a Mac, and vice versa. So I want you to understand it from this perspective. Now, for me, the first thing that comes up is, okay, so where is this operating system being formed? How is it being formed? It's being formed from patterns and habits that you learn through repetition from the time you're a child, an infant growing up. Reality helps you set this up so that you can experience and navigate through the world once you get to a certain age. Just as when you get a computer, that operating system gets installed so you can perform different actions and activities on there so that you can use the computer to do things. And this operating system for us humans is beginning, like I said, from infancy. The things that we are repeating, the things we are learning, the things that our parents, our caretakers, the people in our society and stuff are teaching us, the religions you get from growing up, the view of the world you receive when growing up. And so you would hear various teachers, and especially someone like Bob Proctor. He talks about the paradigm being what dictates the world you are experiencing. And we all see through different paradigms. We all have different operating systems, usually based off the locale we're in, based off our religious ideas, our scientific conceptions of reality, and so on and so forth. Someone, say, for example, a very traditional indigenous society has a different perspective of reality, has a different paradigm of reality. They're seeing reality through a different lens, through a different operating system. These are formed in the unconscious mind. This is why majority of the time we're living life without consciously even being aware that these things are determining who we are. These habits, these patterns that have been repeated and formed from when we were kids is what's forming who we are. So we have different identities that you may say, oh, I am this type of person, or I'm that type of person. But when you go into the origins or the cracks of it, you realize that these definitions are stemming from our unconscious mind, where our habits and patterns are being formed. And then from the unconscious mind, in the subconscious mind is where we have our belief systems. And these are the constructs of our paradigms. There are certain things we believe, and because we believe them to be real, to be the fact of reality, that is how reality is and remains and is seen by us. So reality is fixed by that belief system. Another way I like to think about it is using an analogy of a movie being played. So a projector playing out a movie. Whatever you play, whatever movie you put into the projector, whatever film strip is what will show up on the screen. Or in our case, in the new digital world, whatever file that you put into your computer to play the movie is what will show up on the screen. If you change the file, you change the film strip, you change the cassette, the movie, whatever it is, something else plays on the screen. Those different, say, movies or files that you can play are more or less your perspective of reality, the reality you see. And what I am trying to explain here is that the reality you see and the reality you experience is foundationally beginning from your belief systems, which have been etched into your lens, into your mind, based off the patterns that you formed from growing up, the habits that you learn, the things that you repeatedly put into your mind that this is reality, this is reality, this is reality, this is reality. So your mind takes that up so that the unconscious mind can kind of set the stage for you to be able to begin to live reality. It plays out through your subconscious and then goes on to play out through your conscious activity. So now when you start thinking, you're having thoughts related to that belief system. That belief system is what's even driving what you see, and hence the thoughts that you are having. So just looking at the mind at this level, you can see how different aspects of the mind are always working with each other to allow us to see or experience a particular reality. People with certain belief systems see different worlds. This is why you usually have clashes between different groups of individuals, different cultures, especially different religious groups. We've had a lot of wars between different religious groups and things of that nature, and it's all fundamentally stemming from their different belief systems. And this is because the different belief systems are literally playing out different worlds. They see different worlds entirely. That is why there's disagreement, there's argument, because one person says the world is A, the other's like, no, the world is B. Because the world is being projected through the lens or through the filter of their belief systems in the subconscious mind, which are formed by the foundational habits and paradigms and patterns in the unconscious mind from the person growing up. Essentially, in summary, we are acting as conscious beings. A lot of the time, our actions are unconscious, and that's how we move around 85%, 90% of the time. We're just doing things, and we're able to do these things because we have certain programs already in place, and these programs begin in our unconscious mind. That's why we're not usually even conscious of them actually happening, and these unconscious patterns and programs create these belief systems, these operating systems, which we see the world through, which essentially affects our emotions and affects our thoughts. So the belief systems are the filter through which our vibration goes through to present the reality that we experience. So everything we see in reality, how our vibration plays out, is being filtered through that sieve or that funnel of belief system, and that's how we experience reality personally, from an emotional level and from a thoughts level and on an acting level. It is very important to understand the mind, or how the mind is working on these different layers of the mind, and the deeper we go in, the deeper we see how all this works out to helping us create the reality that we want and become better versions of ourselves and living a more conscious life where we can actually see how things interact every day. So as always, thank you very much for tuning in and for coming and contributing to this channel. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification icon.